Good afternoon, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Grant, one of Keith's Canadian brothers, not by birth, but by choice, and by nearly 5 decades of refusing to let go. And although Keith and I are technically blood brothers, that story is going to remain outside of this heavenly walls. Keith would want me to tell you right up front, any story I'm about to share, he could upgrade, detail, and polish 10 times better. So consider mine the last unauthorized debt. There are no words that can adequately sum up Keith by capturing the sliver of what you knew about us. Then I'll consider my job. So let me just try to tell you who he was. Keith was a kid from the Canadian prairies, from the humble city of Saskatoon. He loved playing hockey and skiing and boating on the lakes. And from the time he was young, he chased. Whatever he wanted, he would go after it like it might get away. He wanted the sports cars, the success, and he wanted the army physique. And yes, not just for himself, he would drag Steve, his other Canadian brother, and me into the gym to suffer alongside him. Nobody was harder on Keith than Keith. That drive is the engine under everything that would come next. He set his sights on California, and nothing was going to stop him. He got his start in Allentown selling condos with Steve, and by 23 years old, he was heading up a sales team of 10 people on his broken Spanish. I went visit him during his time there, and not even a year in, Keith had made fast friends with the locals already. And I recall a typical taxi ride. There were several taxi rides there, but Keith would shout, "Cuantos pesos por favor?" And the cab driver would shout back, 30. And Keith would be like, 50. The taxi driver would be 25. Well, we'd hop in, and by the time we arrived at a destination, he would have the taxi driver, total stranger up to that point, laughing, offering him a meal with his family, and the final fare, 15 pesos. During peak season, tourist season, the clubs, restaurants would be lined up forever. We'd go to any one of them, the doorman would give him a nod, there'd be hand clasps, shoulders hit, and we'd be set up like VIPs in minutes. So it was quite astonishing to watch. Then on to California, top salesman at one of the biggest Corvette dealerships in the country, then finance with Wells Fargo. Then to his final home and to what he loved, the car business, all the way up to VP and GM of Star GMC East. The man could sell, not just the car or the deal, but most importantly, he could make you believe in yourself through the process. Somewhere in all that chasing, he found Melanie. And in French, tease, we call him Ken and Malibu Barbie. And he was set on the life that he had always pictured in his head that he wanted. Melanie and Michael, I know you're watching, and Mia and Landon, the grandkids. Everything Keith did, and every early morning, every late night, every weekend at the office, every deal, every mile, it was for all of you. I know that. Now here's the thing about me and Keith's friends. I'm sure many of you did attest to this. You never ate better in your life. He got his love of cooking from his mom, and he carried her gift of feeding people like it was a sacred duty. The best food, the best wine, cigars, and a table where everybody got treated like family. He grew up with very little, and so he gave away what he had for you. He was the last one to leave every party because he never wanted the night to end. And that laugh, infectious laugh, his Hollywood smile, I'm sure you've all seen the photos, doesn't take a bad one. If Keith aimed a little praise your way, he would float on it forever. He had an unrivaled need for speed, motocross, sand rails, and Glamis, Harleys at Sturgis, jet skis, Ocean City, anything with an engine. He lived his whole life at full throttle. And when the hardest thing came for him in the end, he met it the exact same way. He refused to lift his foot off the gas, quite literally. And let me explain. Leading up to our final visit with Keith, my family, I asked Keith, I texted him, "Are you still good to go?" I'll check it in. And I'll tell you exactly what he texted. "Well, I don't feel very good, but I understand I need to see visitors. I am not going to be some interactive, high-energy person. I'm going to be pretty mellow." Brand knows that. Fast forward a few days later, I would find myself strapped into the passenger seat of the Porsche, engaging in what he described as some rocket launching, going from 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds and screeching like a schoolboy. But even in his final lap, he'd always under-promised and over-delivered. Those of us who followed him through the past year's journey have been astonished at it. The way his love for his family, his zest for life, and the faith that he had kept him standing longer than anyone could have. And in a strange twist of fate, those of us closest to him found themselves turning his own teachings back on him. Through 18 months of inspiring Keith and coaching him, lifting his spirits, exactly the way he had always done for us all these years. He fought every single day, right to the very last one. Two years ago, speaking about his mother at her funeral, he said something I think about today. He said that to this day he jumps at a chance to cook and pour a drink for the people he loves, that she lived on. Well, Keith, you live on at us now, and every table we set, every road we drive too fast. But I think more importantly than that, those of us that knew Keith brought us the courage to want more and to do something about it. The instinct to share everything you have. And the way you make everyone believe they're capable of being and doing more than they can be. And that is your real gift, Keith. It doesn't die with you. Though today, like Keith taught us, I'm not going to say goodbye. I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for the laughs, the meals, the ride. Nearly 5 decades of refusing to let our friendships go. Celebrate you not just for everything you did, but for who you were. I love you, Keith. Go on ahead of us, brother. Set a table for all to follow. Celebrate with your parents and your brother gone too soon. And God help heaven, because you're about to charm every soul